Hello everyone, Grace here, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks on how to save money, whether you are saving up for a down payment, a larger amount, or just saving up for a rainy day fund, whatever that looks like. Here are my top tips for saving money. So I've broken up into two parts. The first section is on banking and finance, and the second part is just general saving tips that I've found to be super helpful when I am looking to save money. So we're going to get started. All right, banking and finance fact number one, or tip number one. So one of the first things I would recommend is to set up an auto transfer. So what that means is that depending on what your payment cadence looks like, whether it's bi-weekly or monthly, you want to make sure that you are setting up an auto transfer. So then taking out an X number of dollars going from your checkings account to your savings account. So this is the best way to automatically save money without even thinking about it. And it could be as low as $50 every single time, or you can even bump it up to $500 depending on what your goal is. You can adjust it based on that. But it's completely free and banks already have that feature built in. So it's just up to you whether you want to take advantage of it or not. All right, second tip is credit card points. So I've mentioned it so many times in so many of my other videos, but the idea is that basically through credit card points, you can gain rewards like travel points or cashback depending on what you like. And with that, you can basically get the trip of your dreams without actually saving up for that. And you just go about with your regular spending and you have this extra value that you can get from credit cards. So the third tip is to reduce your credit card debt. So what I mean is that if you do have a credit card balance that's been carrying over, you want to reduce that. And one of the simplest and easiest way to do it is to reduce the interest rate on that. But what happens is that most credit cards out there, you could check your statement, they usually charge an upwards of 19.99% of interest rate. I've seen some of them go up to 22% interest rate, so depending on what card you have. So every single month you are getting charged a ton of interest. So a way to reduce that is to actually do a product switch. So if you look at your bank and see what credit cards are out there and being offered, you can see that there's usually one credit card out there that is offered at a lower rate. There is usually an annual fee of maybe like $20 or something like that, or $30, depends on the bank. But what you want to do is you want to transfer from that 20% interest rate credit card down to your lower interest rate credit card. So at the moment, in this current day and time, I'm seeing credit cards being offered at a 12% interest rate, which is much lower already than your 20% interest rate. So that will help you significantly in terms of saving money because you're paying much less interest on a monthly basis. So that is something I would recommend to anybody who is carrying a balance, is to do a product switch. Keep in mind that you are not doing a new credit card sign up, okay? You're doing just a product switch. So all you would need to do is call into your bank or your Visa and tell them, hey, I would like to switch my current credit card to X credit card. Obviously, these lower interest rate credit cards do not have the perks of getting travel rewards and whatnot, but your goal right now is not to get these perks, but more so to make sure that you are reducing the payments every single month until you have paid off the credit card. Next tip is to figure out what is the high interest savings account that you could put your money into. So when you get your paycheck in, a lot of times that money is just sitting in your checkings account. So checkings account generally do not give you any type of rewards at all. There's no interest, nothing like that. So what you want to do is you want to transfer your money over to a high interest savings account. Of course, if you have the cash, you can also put them into investments account, but what I'm talking about here is just for interest savings account. For savings account in case you want an emergency fund or something that is highly liquid so that you could just cash out at any time. So something that I've seen recently, because of the higher interest rate, many banks out there are offering a high interest rate return savings account. Some of them are offering a 4.5%, which is I've seen pretty high these days. So definitely look into options of doing that. Instead of having your money just sit in your checkings account, you could be making a little bit of interest by leaving it in a savings account instead. And of course, another topic would be where to put your money and investing into something else so that you yield a higher return. But for the sake of just putting money into a savings account, then do make sure that you are putting it into a high interest savings account instead. All right, so the next tip I have is to move away from mutual funds, okay? So I am myself is a culprit of being in mutual funds for over a decade. And now that I'm out of it, I feel like it's one of the better decisions that I've made in my life. So What it is that a mutual fund a lot of times is when you go to the bank and they'll ask you, hey, are you interested in a mutual fund? And then you'll be, sure, why not, right? Because someone is managing your money. So a lot of times when you do look at these mutual funds, what is in the portfolio itself oftentimes does mirror what is out there in index funds or ETFs. So ETFs and index funds are things that you could just purchase on your own, and you would just pay $5 or so for a transaction fee, and that's it. However, for a mutual fund, let's say you gained $3,000 in capital gains that year for this particular mutual fund, and then because of that, they charge a 2% management fee. So with that, they are taking maybe around $40 or $50 off of that already, versus just the $5 that you would have paid upfront, and that is it. So if you do have a mutual fund and you are thinking of whether you should keep it or not, I would reconsider what you've got and see maybe moving it into a ETF or index fund might be the better way to go in terms of saving money on fees that you most likely wouldn't need to have paid anyways. Previously, I've talked about habits in terms of banking and finance. So now we are going to switch gears into just general money saving habits that I've lived by that has worked for me, and hopefully it will help you as well. First thing is want versus need. So it is really important to understand what is a need and what is a want. So a need is something that you need to live and function. So things like a shelter, food, water, internet if you need to work from home, equipment, for example, your laptop if you need that, right? Things like that, these are your needs. However, your wants is different. Want is perhaps a $50 luxury water bottle. A want could be a $10 smoothie, for example. So every time you do make a purchase, just think in your mind, is this a want or a need? If it is a want, then maybe reconsider whether you want to buy it or not. If it is a need, then yes, you should go ahead and purchase it. Next tip I have is to keep your receipts, okay? So if you're in North America, we do have the luxury of refunding things 30 days. So what is so great is that if you have buyer's remorse, like I do, like many of us do as well, we buy something and then we go home and a few days later we're like, you don't really like it, right? A tip for you is to make sure that you keep the tag and you keep the box for at least 5 days, okay? That is the rule of thumb that I go by. Keep it for at least 5 days so that you do have the option to refund if you do not want to keep this item anymore. And I know for all of us, doing a refund is an inconvenience. However, what is the best thing about inconvenience is that it's teaching us a lesson, right? So every time you do a refund and then you have to go back out, drive your car, do a refund, and then come back home, that is a lesson for you to reconsider your purchase, right? And again, it goes back to my previous tip of need versus want. Next thing we have is gift card balances. I know over the holidays, so many of us we've received gift cards left, right, and center, and of course we want to spend them. But how gift cards are designed is to encourage spend, right? So for instance, a lot of times when we have a gift card and we have maybe $3 left at the end of it, and you're like, oh well, the cashier's always like, well, you have $3 left, so maybe you should grab something. And obviously most of us do, because we don't want to be wasteful of that $3 that's free and given to us. However, my rule of thumb is that if I'm spending more than 20 minutes around the store or online trying to find something that I want, but I can't find it, that's already strike number 1, that I am not going to use this gift card. And strike number 2 is that if there's nothing out there that I really want, but that is within that budget, however, I need to do a top up of $10 or more, then that is a no. Because by then I am, 1, purchasing something that I may not really need or even want, and 2, I am spending more just so I could use that $3 left on my gift card. So anytime you do have a gift card with a remaining balance, the great way to do is just let it go. You don't need to use the full amount. You've already maximized as much as you can based on what you want and what you need. If you're struggling to swipe through that $3 that's left, just let it go. Next up we've got is a library card. I have not been to the library for at least a decade now, and I think the last library card I had was when I was a kid in elementary school or middle school. That was when I had a library card. But you know what? Libraries have changed a lot nowadays. And why do I recommend a library card is that libraries offer so much more than just physical books now. I found so many great audiobooks on there that I've been able to listen to for free. I listen to them on my morning walks with my dog. I listen to them before bed. You can listen to them when you're doing chores. They are just so great, and when you have a library card, it is completely free, right? And what's more is that libraries oftentimes they do also allow you to borrow video games as well. So one time I went to the library and I actually saw there was PS5 games on there that you could play. So I feel like libraries have really expanded their portfolio of offerings beyond just physical books. So if you have not considered the library card route in a very long time like me, give it a go. You can even sign up online, I think, or maybe in person. Okay, next tip I've got is to cut down on your subscriptions. I know we are all so guilty of this, right? Myself included, but I've managed to do this and I think you can too. So if you look at your portfolio of subscriptions that you have, we always got an Uber One Pass for food delivery or whatever you use to deliver it with. We've got Amazon, we've got Spotify, we've got Netflix, Hulu, HBO, etc. There's so many subscriptions, and think about which ones you actually need, and let's say you need all of them, okay? Totally fair, you need all of them. So another way to cut down is to look into family plans. So a lot of times family plans are great for cutting down the cost because you can split it with someone, so you can get the value of all these things without paying the full price. Another tip to save money is to reevaluate your bills. So what I mean is by internet and phone bill. So what is so wild to me is that I recently heard from a coworker that they've been paying $180 for internet this month. Every single month is $180, whereas I'm paying $50. So one of the best things to do is to just call up your provider and ask them, hey, what other offers are there out there at the moment? Or even better yet, find a competitor and then see what they can offer you. Because a lot of times internet bills can be reduced. They are absolutely negotiable. Same with your phone bill as well. So if you are paying a ton for your internet and your phone, think about it again and see what you can renegotiate to bring it down. Next up is generic brand versus named brand. So a lot of times I find is that when I go to a grocery store, I'm so tempted to buy just the named brand item. However, when you do look at the ingredients list and you're comparing them, you will find that they are 95% identical, okay? So next time that you do go shopping, just take a look, and see what is the generic brand look like, what is the ingredient list, compare it with the named brand, and then decide from there. Because I find that a lot of times the named brand items, they are going for at least 25% more than the generic brand, which is a lot of savings depending on what that item is. However, one caveat is that if the product itself is in a higher quality based on the named brand, then I think it's worth it. However, a lot of times I find generic brands to be just as good. Another tip here is to use your health benefits. So if you are on an employee plan where you have extended health benefits, make sure you tap into them. Go right now, log in on your phone and see what you've got, okay? And you'll realize how much benefit that you could tap into, whether it is for dental cleaning, whether it is for massage therapy or psychology visits like counseling and therapy, or whether it's for chiropractor. These are all things that are covered by your extended health if you do have that option. So the value there is tremendous, and you can get great health benefits and rewards from these programs. And another tip here is to call versus Uber. And what I mean is that a lot of times you will find that the takeout menu versus the Uber price is completely different. And there's usually a higher markup on the Uber menu just because the restaurant needs to pay for that fee, right? So when you do have the option to call versus doing an Uber order, I know that hopping on your phone is super convenient to do that versus, picking up the phone these days. But I will reassure you that a lot of times when you do call, might even get a 10% discount from calling versus Uber, because that restaurant no longer has to pay that fee to Uber. So with that said, if you loved this video, please do give me a quick subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!